Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's October the 7th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day presented by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. Matt, we're sitting here now. It's 24 hours, well, a little more than 24 hours, maybe 32 hours or so, ballpark to kick off. And we've waited 2 weeks for this moment, and I, for one, am very glad it's here because, you know, when I see the fan base so angry, when I see guys turning on other guys and just like totally losing their minds over the Miami football product, it bothers me. You know, I'm not going to lie. I'm an emotional guy, and you know, I'm hoping that the Canes and I believe that the Canes are going to come out tomorrow in Hard Rock Stadium, otherwise known as the Matt Shodell Exploration Laboratory, where you just put anybody out on the field and hope that things go well. And I'm going to hope that things go well, and I think they will. And I think that with 2 weeks to prepare for this game, a chance to sort of rally the troops, so to speak, I'll be very surprised and very dismayed if Miami doesn't come out with Texas A&M maniacal like effort and maybe just do things a little bit better and win the football game. Your thoughts?
Well, I spent the last 24 hours running 2 different Madden simulations, the exact scenarios of these 2 games, the opponent, Miami Hurricanes team. I put in all the values for every player on North Carolina, every player in Miami, ran all the intangibles, including Gaddis's play calling. And I ran the first simulation was with Tyler Van Dyke at quarterback, and the second was with Jake Garcia at quarterback. And I don't even want to go there.
People are clowning you. People are clowning you all over the internet. Look at this. I found this yesterday. I'm just like searching around, and look at what I found. This is part of the Matt Shodell Clown Show. Watch.
Right? Hey, we should, bro. This is fire.
How'd you get that video of me? Who gave you that? Listen, you know, you mentioned in the beginning you're an emotional guy. You're so upset about the fans. Let me tell you something. The day the fans don't care is the day that we should just stop covering this team. I mean, thank goodness that the fans care enough to fight with each other and share their ideas. I mean, God forbid, Gary, someone disagrees with you that Tyler Van Dyke isn't the answer, or that maybe the offense coordinator Mario Cristobal hired isn't the right fit here. I'm not saying that's not true.
But I think Tyler so over the top. We had one subscriber threaten to kill another subscriber.
That was with a butter knife. You can't do damage with a butter knife. I don't care.
I mean, like, this is how insane people have been the last 2 weeks.
Let me tell you something. You know the mating habits of the narwhal, obviously, right? You know what a narwhal is?
No.
You know what a unicorn is?
Yeah.
Picture a giant fish that looks like a unicorn. Okay. So basically, you got two narwhals. We'll call them, for the sake of argument, we'll call one narwhal Jake Garcia and the other one Tyler Van Dyke. And they take their little, unicorn points, and they fight to the death in order to be able to mate with the female. And this is going to be a fight to the death, Gary. I don't want to belittle what's happening on the message boards, but let's face it, these are message boards. No one was really going to kill anybody, okay? Especially, if you threaten to kill somebody with a butter knife, it's like saying, I'm not really going to kill you, in my personal opinion. Obviously unacceptable. Don't kill each other, okay? It's not worth it. But my point is, and by the way, I just made up that mating habit. Narwhal's a real fish, but how they made, I don't know.
Searched narwhal, and not a single fish came up, Matt. So I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
And that's because you're spelling it wrong, Gary. Narwhal, okay? I'll give you a minute to look at it.
You can keep talking. You don't have to bore everybody to death while I'm.
So my point is this. Everybody wants to make this a battle to the death. Like there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. That's what everybody wants. They want one narwhal to go off into the wilderness, never to be heard from again, and then with the other narwhal to successfully mate and propagate a fantastic team. But in reality, in the real world, we aren't narwhals, and that's why I keep saying I don't want just one guy. Like I know the platoons don't work at quarterback. I agree. And I understand Tyler Van Dyke should have a great game. I think he will have a great game tomorrow. I really do. He's got every intangible there is. If there's any competitive bone in his body, which he certainly doesn't show to us in those jellyfish interviews, but if there's any competitive bone in the body, and I have to think there is, he's going to show up and play his best game. And North Carolina's defense is just atrocious. He should have a great game. But I still want to see Jake Garcia. Like, that's my only thing. I think Tyler Van Dyke, I got no problem starting him. I got no problem giving him another chance. He earned it last year, man. I said last year he looked like the best quarterback here since Ken Dorsey. And you make a good point. Don't throw that all out. But at the same time, he's had 3 really subpar games. You could blame receivers like Gary wants to do, whatever. I blame the quarterback, okay? Call me crazy. When I see the quarterback throwing the ball nowhere near a receiver, I don't care if the receiver ran the wrong route. Use your eyes, bro. Like, the quarterback, the receiver is running the wrong route, but you see where he is. Don't throw the ball 5 yards in front and to the right of him because that's where it was supposed to be thrown according to Josh Gaddis. And then you could say on the film, well, you ran the wrong route, so I didn't throw. I just threw it where I was supposed to throw it. I mean, come on, man. Anyway, I'm not going to get into details, but trust me when I tell you, there have been times that the quarterbacks have thrown the ball to the receivers when they've run the wrong routes, and they've completed it. And then there are times where, for whatever reason, whether it's just in their brains, like, if you practice the violin long enough, like I did as a child when I was forced to practice constantly, that's
why you're so weird.
You're not.
I knew there had to be a reason.
You're not able to play an off note because you've been so repetitive with it. And it's almost like Tyler Van Dyke is so repetitive with where he's supposed to throw a certain route that he can't not throw the ball on that route when it's 5 yards further the receiver in the road or 5 yards shorter. Like, I don't understand the disconnect in his brain, but if he gets it figured out, he's going to be great. And even if he's great, I want to see Jake Garcia play a full game against Duke, period. That's me. And that's why I'm wearing my Duke colors today. Are these Duke colors? Probably not.
If Jake Garcia is playing a full game against Duke, it means the season's falling apart.
No, man. It means they're looking to the future. Looking to the future.
I got 2 things to say.
Come on.
A, I'm pulling for Tyler. People are going to go crazy with
everybody should pull for Tyler. He's the quarterback.
And number 2, I am glad as hell that I'm not a narwhal because these things look ridiculous, okay?
Hey, that's Jake and Tyler.
Like, do they really have those screws coming out of their face?
Gary, I can't even discuss science with you.
No, is that like a real feature?
Yes,
like,
it's a real sea mammal.
And they just swim around and try to stab other fish?
No, I mean it's a defense mechanism. They don't eat using that. It'd be very difficult. It's like when you go and you for instance, Gary, I know you can't use chopsticks. You just use the one chopstick and you sort of stick it into the food and stick it in your mouth. Those don't go in their mouth. So that's just for defense.
Those things are like screws, man, and they don't protrude. They're always that big?
Well, they grow. They don't get born that big. They grow that big. What are you talking about?
I've never seen that. It's unbelievable.
The life cycle of the narwhal. You can read the books. There's one book written about it in the history of the world.
God, I wish I was as intellectual as you. Damn, I never even knew those things existed. I've never seen even a picture of those before.
Well, how about a horseshoe crab? You know what's interesting about horseshoe crabs, Gary? What color is a horseshoe crab's blood? Do you know that?
No.
Blue.
Really?
Yeah. Even when it mixes with oxygen. By the way, our blood is blue, but when it mixes with oxygen, it turns red. Their blood literally stays blue. And they use horseshoe crabs, are a scientific marvel they think can sort of solve all sorts of illnesses and diseases because they have all these prehistoric properties. They've survived millions of years. They're actually, I believe, the longest living crustacean that Gary Ferman has not eaten in his lifetime. I believe
What color blood?
Oh, sweet.
What color is their blood, Matt?
Like I told you, we don't kill the stone crabs, so we don't see any blood. You understand, Gary?
I don't know. I just know one thing, man. You're back in action in 1 week.
And let's be clear, stone crabs are not mammals.
Your claws, my friend.
Stone crabs do not bleed, Gary.
I just know you're back in 1 week, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't got a call from my friend yet to figure out when we're going out there, but we'll have to get a date going out there and drop some traps in the water and have a little feast.
They're warming up on your sidewalk.
Oh my, get your wife off the screen enough.
All right. So anyway, look, I mean, this is an opportunity tomorrow. Let's be honest. I mean, everyone's rattled. The expectations aren't great. Somebody started a poll on our message boards. Who do you predict is going to win the game? And I think more fans are predicting North Carolina to win than they're predicting Miami to win. I don't understand, but
no, that was before. That was it's since flip flopped. You're living in the past, bro.
Oh, have I
as per usual
recently enough? All right. Well, I'm sorry, but look. Hopefully, they show up ready to play and put a good performance on the field, and we'll have lots of coverage leading up to the game. We'll break everything down for you guys. But there's so much more going on right now. So let's talk a little bit about it. A lot of recruiting action. Matt, have you looked at the visitor list for this game tomorrow? And Ruben Bain has now been added to it. It's a pretty good list, man.
Yeah, and look, I thought one of the downfalls for Manny Diaz recruiting, aside from him just not really wanting to recruit, is when the team's not doing well, the game day atmosphere is lacking. As you so astutely pointed out, I did go to the Wisconsin game, and Wisconsin's been not good this year. There wasn't an open seat, man, and those student section was going nuts the whole game and doing their chants, and I mean, everyone left at the end of the third quarter, but the point is everyone was there. There was an energy, even though the team has no chance at anything this year, really. Miami is more fickle. There's in Madison, Wisconsin, there's not as much to do unless you're going to a University of Wisconsin sporting event. Here, there's so much competition, whether it's the beach or the food or the city itself or whatever. Miami, the Hurricanes, if they don't have a really good product in football, they tend not to get a ton of turnout for games like this, even though North Carolina is a decent opponent. And they also tend to have a late arriving crowd. They tend to boo if things don't go well, especially after the last two games. And that's something that has hurt recruiting in the past, which is why it's even more important when you look at this visitor list that Gary posted, that they do well at the start, that these recruits don't hear boos, because these recruits all go on other visits and they've seen other games at other places. And it's a strike against Miami, quite frankly, if that happens. If the stands are half full, if the fans are booing, even if the team wins, that's a negative, And I hope fans, that's why a lot of other schools, the fans are just very supportive until it really goes south. At Miami, it's a much quicker trigger. I think the fans are more educated down here about what they're seeing and the things they don't like, and that's part of it. But it's not doing Miami any favors with slow starts and two losses, and now playing a game where they have to win basically, or the fans get even more upset. It's not a great recruiting situation, and Mario's a great recruiter. So he's got plenty of time, and nobody wants to hear NIL, but obviously you can make up for anything with NIL now, which is great because fans don't matter when you're paying somebody NIL money eventually.
So so we have a story today with 5-star Justin Scott, who's coming down for the game and looking to check out the Hurricanes. We also update a new wide receiver to keep an eye on. That's Tayshawn Lyons, a guy that a lot of people around the country are taking a look at. We talked to Lou Headley and Cam Kinchins about the game tomorrow. So we've got that. And we also have our You Bet CaneSport show with Lee Sterling, who breaks down the whole picture for tomorrow from a bettor's perspective. And
what did he say about the Miami game? I haven't watched it yet. Did he say take Miami or take North Carolina?
No, he said he's taking Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he say about the point spread moving from 5.5 to 3?
It just means that money's coming on Carolina. which is not surprising. I mean, everyone's looking at Miami losing to Middle Tennessee State. They're looking at Miami's defense gave up 4 long passes last game. North Carolina.
Basically, this experienced lifetime sports bettor, extraordinaire is telling you exactly what I told you he would say 2 days ago. Go back and play the tape. It's exactly what I said to you, like word for word.
I don't bet the games, but I mean, if I did, I would be betting Miami. This is a logical.
North Carolina right now is perceived as better than it is because they played nobody,
and Miami's perceived as worse than what they are.
Right, and a good Notre Dame team shut down North Carolina's offense until the final quarter and a half. Yeah, and Miami is perceived to be struggling, but they're still full of 4-star and 5-star guys, and they're desperate for a win. They're off a bye week. I mean, they're getting healthier. It's what did I tell you? I told you it would be a 7 to 10 point line if Miami had just beat Middle Tennessee, and I still believe that.
All right, we're gonna have some Canes.
By the way, if somebody bets on the game and they don't cover, like, don't blame me. I'm not a sports guy. Blame Lee Sterling, okay?
That's why we don't do You Bet CaneSport with Matt Shodell.
No, but it just happens to be funny that Lee Sterling, I don't bet ever, but, that he just basically stole my information. Tell him that, Gary. Tell Lee Sterling, stop stealing my information. Get his own information somewhere, all right? I'm sick of it.
Lee Sterling doesn't need your information, man. He's been kicking butt this year on his service.
It was a joke. Don't let him kill me with a butter knife, okay? I was joking, Lee Sterling. It was a joke.
Got a couple of other things to talk about real quick, but first let's hear from our friends at Life Wallet.
Hi, I'm Nigel Pack, and when I decided to come to Miami, I knew I had to pack, including my Life Wallet. But you know what else I'm going to pack this upcoming season? I'm going to pack the house. But today, I'm going to stand here and make another trade.
The feed to Pack. He throws another. Give it to him. His third from the corner pocket. When he was persistent, Nigel Pack again.
Never leave your home without your Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
Used to be able to shoot like that on the Pop-A-Shot game.
Look, I'm not a fan of using the whole the pack the house because then fans will start yelling "pack your bags" if he plays badly. I don't like the whole using the pack thing as some sort of messaging for his name. That's not for me.
Nigel Pack can shoot the ball. Those of you that are going to go watch Canes basketball this year, you're going to be amazed at his shooting skills. He can pack it in the hoop. I'll tell you that.
Hey, guess who dunked for the first time?
You?
No.
I was going to say, no way.
One of my children was able to dunk for the first time. He's been working out and he dunked.
Come on.
Yeah, he dunked on me.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He not only did he dunk, within 24 hours, he dunked and learned to ride a bike. I tried to teach my child how to ride a bike for years. And, you run behind them, you hold the freaking thing. I mean, you out there, any of you who have kids have probably done it if you're a somewhat reliable parent. And he could always figure out how to go straight, but when he tried to turn, he would just fall on his butt, and he never could do it. And now that he's in college, one of his friends taught him how to do it in 15 minutes. I was very upset, because I always just blamed him. I said, it's him. It's not me. He's the problem. Now apparently it's me that was the problem because now
his friend said, "I can't believe your dad never taught you how to ride a bike."
I mean, look, my whole thing, I told my wife, I told anybody, when they said he can't go for a bike ride with us, I'd be like, he's not able to ride a bike. It's not my fault. I taught him for years. He physically is unable to ride a bike. That was my explanation, was he had some sort of mental, physical deformity. But apparently it was me the whole time because he learned in 15 minutes from some random frat kid at Wisconsin. And, now I got thrown under the bike.
Well, in honor of Matt's son being able to dunk, we thought we'd bring a few basketball stories to you guys today as well.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, how about it?
Hey, that's your best segue ever. Congratulations.
How'd you like that?
Low clap.
How'd you like that? Pretty good, right?
Well
a young man by the name of Michael Nuwoku committed to the Hurricanes yesterday. He's an impressive-looking big man. Check out his tape in the story, and he's got some nice skills around the basket. And I like him. I think he's going to be a good player at the college level. So that was a nice pickup.
Yeah, well, yes and no, because it's sort of annoying, but the whole life wall thing. Now they're going to say he's going to Nuwoku the fans up with his fantastic dunks. That it's annoying. Like, I'm not a fan of that, man. Like, leave these kids' names out of the ads, bro.
You mean you don't like, Isaiah taking the Wong turn? Or
Everybody's already shut this show off by now, so I don't. We could use them. We could just keep on going. Give me some other names. I'll keep going all day. I don't care.
Yeah, so we've got that story on Michael Nuwoku today, and we'll also have a story later on this morning with Jim Larinaga, maybe early afternoon. We're going to be talking to Jim Larinaga today, get an update on how practice is going as the Canes build towards that season opener, I guess about a month from now. So it's almost basketball season. Can the Canes get back to the Elite Eight? But first, they got to beat North Carolina in football, and that's where all of our focus is going to be here this weekend. We will have a post-game show for you Saturday night after the game. I hope many of you will come join us for that and participate in that and talk about what you see out at Hard Rock earlier in the day. And just excited.
Here's a great name. So I was just looking at the roster just to see some names. I didn't even know, I guess I'm a bad reporter. Do you know there's a basketball player on the team, a walk-on obviously, but his name is Filipos Gogos?
Never heard of him, no.
His last name is spelled Gko with an S after that, which is super cool. I really like that name.
All right, well, thank you for adding
it. You're not gonna make an ad out of that?
No.
Gogos? No, you can't think of one for that, huh?
The Canes are gonna go ghost back to March Madness. I mean, what do you? All right, that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. Low key mellow show this morning. We probably wore you guys out all through the course of the week. Those of you that didn't get a chance to watch the Lamar Thomas show yesterday, strongly encourage you to do so. It was really, really good. Melvin Bratton, Steve Walsh.
Oh, you know what? By the way, not to interrupt you, but I interrupted you. Would you say yes or no to if I had to put up a poll or someone puts up a poll and says, regardless of how Tyler Van Dyke does against North Carolina, really, really great, whatever, would you still be in favor or not in favor, Gary, of giving Jake Garcia a full first team of work and practice for Duke week and start the Duke game and play the full Duke game? Yes or no? Would you be in favor of that just to see what you got?
No,
you wouldn't be.
No, I don't want to encourage any more.
It makes too much sense.
I think all this noise is not productive for the football team. I think it's you
don't want to know what you have to
say. The sooner they can move past this, the better.
Look, I'm not saying Jake's going to leave or not leave. I'm just saying I think heading into next year, you want to know. Tyler struggled. North Carolina's defense isn't going to do anything great. Virginia Tech's defense is okay, but then you got Duke. I'm just curious. So you're not in favor of that?
I don't think we got to worry about that right now. I mean,
when do you worry about it?
I think. Who's going to be the quarterback is down the road can be worried about down the road. I think we got to worry about this game on Saturday right now and winning this game. And I think you got to hope that the starting quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, goes out there and plays a good football game. I think he's going
here's what we're going to be talking about, okay? Next spring, August, I don't know. If the following happens, if Tyler remains the starting quarterback the rest of the year, they finish, let's say, 8-4, which is just a very strong possibility. And then Tyler returns, also a very strong possibility now.
Yep.
If both those things occur, which I think are more likely than not that they'll get 8 or 9 wins.
Does Jake Garcia stay? And that'll be the $1 million. That will literally be the $1 million question, Matt.
Literally. But what I'm saying is, I think if I had to get, this is one of those things where, they say gun to your head, what do you think? I think that Jake would leave under that set of circumstances. I think he would go somewhere else where they say, you're starting this year. And there will be many, many programs that would say that to him, okay? There's no doubt about it. So this is why I'm wondering why you don't want to give him a chance, because if you let him go, and if Tyler's, really good but not great.
And you're still trying to win the ACC, that's why.
I understand what you're saying.
This is not a time to play musical quarterbacks.
First of all, let's be clear. You're trying to win. Realistically, you're trying to win the ACC Coastal.
You're trying to win the ACC.
You're trying to win the ACC Coastal. You're living in a dream world if you think they're beating Clemson in the championship game, okay?
No,
Or whoever
there's
wins
no
up there.
dream. There's no dream world.
Okay, you think Miami can beat whoever wins the Atlantic? You're confident.
No, I didn't say I'm confident, but I'm willing to take
they can do it.
I'm willing to go one game at a time and see how they do.
If you think they can win the ACC, then I agree with you. I personally have watched the team this year. I'm sort of leaning towards they're not going to win the ACC championship game. That's just me.
Matt, if that's the case, if you get to that point, then I'm going to agree with you.
If they get to the ACC championship game and lose 45-3 and never saw Jake Garcia, that's my point.
Doesn't matter.
What? Now Jake, hypothetically, in my scenario, I think it's more likely he leaves than stays. Now you got Tyler again, the same team again, and maybe Jake Garcia is the guy that
it's not the same team. You're going to have Ray Joseph out there next year. You're going to have Robbie Washington out there next year.
You're that guy.
Two speed receivers. That's two speed receivers.
You're the guy.
They're not even close to what they're playing with right now. Okay,
I always wondered where the guy was.
They're not done. They're going to go in the portal and get more receivers. Next year's team is going to look totally different.
Oh my God, Gary! They brought in 12 transfer guys this year. They thought 10 of these freshmen were going to play this year.
The position is going to look a lot different next year.
True freshmen tend to not really have a big impact. You might think 10 of these kids and 10 of these transfers are going to come in and transform the program. You said the same damn thing before this season.
You did not hear me say it about Isaiah Horton.
You said 12 transfers. You said these transfers are going to make the team a 10-win team.
We're going to start finding out, aren't we?
You said Mario wants to win now.
Have to play them now.
You said Mario's taking these guys because we're going to win now. And they're not.
We'll see.
And you'll see that there's 3 transfers.
Tomorrow is a big game for Messidor. Tomorrow is a big game for Agude. They were brought here for this game to be able to rush the passer and get after this quarterback. We're going to find out tomorrow, Matt. I mean, listen, if they don't make an impact tomorrow, I'll be waving the flag and agreeing with you by the post-game show.
Right now, what is there? There's like six or seven of the 12 transfers aren't even really playing or have a role. That's not great.
I think that they got caught last week. Obviously, losing that game last week was not in the plan. I think they went all in on Texas A&M. It looks to me like they have been trying to get these guys healthy and good for the ACC schedule. They are trying to get to the ACC championship game this year. This is what it looks like to me. Now, I don't disagree. We haven't discussed it with the coaches or anything. I'm just observing the reps, how few reps Messidor has been taking. He's clearly the best defensive end on the roster. Why has he not been playing? Why has Leonard Taylor only been playing 18, 20 snaps a game? There's just a lot of goofy stuff going on that I have to believe is designed to bring a healthy team into the ACC schedule. And we're going to find out Saturday. All we need to know, man, if they lose to North Carolina at home, we're going to be inching a lot closer to some of these things that people have talked about. If you're out of the ACC race, then I would have a totally different opinion. Right now, they're trying to win the ACC. You put your best foot forward. You have a starting quarterback who was the clear starting quarterback coming out of spring, coming out of fall, and you don't deviate from that because he had a bad game last week and had a couple unfortunate plays, okay? You work for 2 weeks, which is what they've done. You try to get them right. I know I'm sounding like a broken record on this already, but we're going to find out tomorrow if they were able to do it. We are going to find out.
Here's the problem with your whole thesis of, let's say they beat North Carolina, Gary, okay? You're not going to ever find out what you actually have that are younger guys. Which I'm not going to go ad nauseum. You guys can watch the show from 2 days ago. Man, but we're not going to know until
with those guys every week.
Can I talk for 2 minutes?
Yeah, but what are you talking about? They practice with them every day. They scrimmage. The guys that don't play have extra scrimmage time every week.
What I'm talking about is this. First of all, games are different than practices. Some players play differently in games. I'm not going to get into this all over again. But you did mention something 2 days ago, which I want to repeat, which is you said, listen, if they're out of the Coastal, then I agree with Matt that they need to start, looking at some of these younger guys and planning for the future. And the problem with that now is, if they beat North Carolina, great, okay? They're going to beat Virginia Tech. They're going to beat Duke. They should beat Virginia. The problem now is they could easily lose 2 or 3 of the last 4 games. They're FSU, Clemson, and Pittsburgh are 3 of the last 4 games. And if you do lose even two of those, and you're out of the ACC Coastal, because now you don't have any time left to see what you have. This is why.
If the Duke game, first of all, you've looked at Duke's record, right? They're having a pretty good season. But number two, if the Duke game is lopsided, you're going to see all these guys anyway. And if it's not lopsided, you have no business experimenting in it.
First of all, did you look at who Duke's beaten? I understand they have a good record, but they're playing Northwestern. They lost to Kansas.
Northwestern's a real team.
Their wins were against NC, A&T, Northwestern, and a Virginia team that apparently is really not as good as I thought. So,
I get it, but Virginia was a legit win.
You're not going to convince me that Duke's a good team, period. I'm sorry.
Northwestern was a decent win. I mean, I'm not saying they're a good team. I'm not saying they're going to win the Coastal. What I'm saying is you don't go into that game thinking, oh, geez, let me experiment a little bit and throw all my true freshmen out there to see what they can do. No, you go take care of business. You get yourself a 30-point lead, and then you see what your freshmen can do. So
Northwestern's a good team. They lost to Southern Illinois, so I guess that means Southern Illinois is amazing. They lost to Miami, Ohio. I guess that means Miami, Ohio is amazing. I mean, I don't know what.
I say they're a good team, but they are.
Your definition of a good team. Now I understand why you say Miami is the most amazing team you've ever seen.
I didn't say they're a good team. I said they're a real team. They're a legit team, Northwestern. Now they obviously aren't real good this year, but I'm just saying that is a legit program.
I mean, you and I will agree to disagree.
You're all about experimenting. Who cares what the record is this year? Whatever.
If they were 3-1 right now, we're not having this conversation. But we've seen, to me,
but the Middle Tennessee State game means nothing.
It would have to be one of the most.
Texas A&M game means nothing at this point.
This would have to be one of the most shocking turnarounds that we've seen in 20 years covering the Hurricanes, because when we've seen a 4-game sample size to start the season, and you have some injuries on top of that. You sort of have a sense for what's coming, especially when you saw how they played, and the team they beat, Bethune-Cookman, was the only easy win. I mean, you've seen the last 3 games. You've seen the red flags all over the place. They're 2-2. They haven't played well. They're making mistakes. They prepared for 9 months. They went through every practice. You sort of are what you are. It's not like a bye week to me.
We are going to find out tomorrow.
I understand.
Because they also were very close to being 3-0. If a couple plays didn't go the other way at Texas A&M, and the Middle Tennessee game is God knows what the heck happened there. Hopefully
nobody even talks about Southern Miss anymore. They played terrible against Southern Miss until they started running the ball only and couldn't throw it. My point is this: it's like fans every year they expect magic to happen, and this is the year we're going to win 11 games. This is the year we're going to be in the playoffs, and it never tends to happen. And when you look at it just realistically, like to me. I think realistically, and I keep saying it, 2 to 4 years for the playoffs if they handle it the right way, and just being stuck in the mud and doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. It might not be very good. You might beat them, and Virginia's not very good, and Virginia Tech's not very good, and Duke's not very good. But you're going to probably lose to Clemson if FSU plays the way it's been playing. I'm sorry, but they're playing better than Miami right now. Pitt is a 50-50, so I get it. The ACC Coastal's terrible. They could win the ACC Coastal for sure. But to me, do you do that at the cost of maybe not seeing what you can have to build on next year and the year after when you add some freshmen? Well, these are the guys we have now. Get them some experience. Let them compete with the freshmen that come in. Because this, to me, is a redshirt freshman, sophomore building block. And right now they're playing juniors and redshirt juniors and redshirt sophomores and some seniors. And I'm just saying, those guys aren't the guys that I need to see when I want to make the playoffs. I'd like to start seeing what we got, and then you can make a better judgment on, hey, you know what? We actually need 2 more linebackers as transfers next year because the guy, Wesley Bastainth, isn't doing it. Or maybe Wesley Bastainth is that good that they take somebody at a different spot. I don't know because we don't see them in games, and players play differently in games than in practice. They're not even tackling the ground in practice since the final scrimmage of the fall. So it's just different, man. And I just would love to see some of these guys get a chance in a game and see how they respond. That's all. Call me nuts.
And hopefully they win some of these games big enough that you will get a chance to do both. Win the games, win the Coastal, and play some of the younger guys. See what they can do.
Guess what? You hit the nail on the head. That's how the Alabamas and Clemsons keep stacking talent and don't have to rebuild. But Miami's
the Alabama and Clemsons have tougher practices than they have games.
Well, that's how it used to be here. But every school thuds now. You could say it's a tough practice. Every coach likes to preach that now. There was no more two-a-days allowed in the fall. It's not like it used to be. You don't tackle to the ground in practice anymore. You thud. I mean, I thud when I walk down the street in New York City by accident every freaking 5 steps. I mean, it's nothing. It's all about just like walkthroughs and schemes and then just be physical on game day. It's not like it used to be. It just isn't. That's just not how practices are run anywhere, not just at Miami, anywhere.
I think they practice hard enough at Miami that they are getting a very good look at their young players and that they are getting a good read on where everybody is and what they need to do to try to develop. I think that there's going to be a lot of guys leaving the program after the season. I think we're going to see another 15, 20 transfer portal departures this year, just like we did last year. I think you're going to see a lot of transfers coming in. It's going to be a constant effort to keep upgrading the roster. But right now, there is one agenda: win the Coastal, get to Charlotte. And they are going to put the guys on the field, no matter how many hours we sit here and debate this subject. They are going to put the guys on the field that they feel give them the best chance to accomplish that goal.
Yeah,
and that's the reality, and that's the way it should be. And I mean, I want to see some of those young guys too. But like, if they're not ready to play, I don't want to see them because they need to win these games. They're gonna have.
You're so funny because you're like, oh well, if they lose to North Carolina, then it's okay to play all these young guys. But now, no, we can't see these young guys.
I don't think one conference loss is enough either.
You literally said if they lose to North Carolina,
you get to 2 conference losses and you still got Clemson coming up down the road, then I will be more receptive to doing what you're talking about.
If you lose to North Carolina, you've lost 3 in a row. You're going to keep playing the same guys, Gary? Seriously?
It depends who you're talking about. Like
anybody, I'll
okay. You're going to bench Jalen Rivers to play Logan Sagapolo instead, or is that what you want? Is that what you want to do?
I have no problem with that.
You want to take your best offensive lineman and put him on the bench?
I have zero. If they've lost 3 in a row, I don't care what they do that the coaches feel they
bench Kai Clark and put John Dennison.
If Logan Sagapolu only plays the position that Jalen Rivers plays, and you don't want him to move him to the other guard spot for some reason, you want to bench him, fine. I want to see the backups. Like, I'm sorry.
Tell Leonard Taylor to go take a week off so you can play Allen Hay instead? Is that what you want to do?
I mentioned the 5 guys on defense that I would still play, and Leonard's one of them because Leonard's young. I want to see the young guys. He's in his 2nd year.
But he's starting. Well, you're talking about benching the starters to play guys that aren't playing. I don't want a second and third team playing. I want the young guys. I don't need to see Wayman Steed anymore. I don't need to see a bunch of these older guys that have had their chances, and you know what they have. I want to see the other guys. Look, these guys can still start, like I said last show, but I want to see the younger guys work in a lot, 30%, 40%, whatever it is. Yeah, I want to see Michael McLaughlin. Yeah, I want to see John Dennis. Yeah, I want to see Logan Sagapolu. See what you got. Maybe you got to jettison some of these guys. When you see them perform in a game, if they don't get it, they're not physical, whatever. It's hard to gauge in practice, no matter what you say, Gary. And I want to see Jake Garcia, and I want to see Jaleel Skinner play 80% of the reps as a tight end. I've seen enough of Will Mallory if they lose this game. Okay, Thaddeus Franklin, we're going to get a good sight on hopefully this week. I think he had a chance last week with terrible blocking, but you're still going to see more from him. I mean, you can go down the list. There's a bunch of guys on defense that are young guys. Henry Parrish, Jalen Knighton, don't get healthy. We don't want you. We want to play Thad Franklin, who was our number 5 running back coming into the season. I can't take this madness anymore. It's been 20 minutes since I was trying to let everybody go into the office. Can I please let them go to work?
Yeah. The problem you're having, Gary, is that everyone disagrees with you.
Oh, my God.
Make a poll. Ask people on the message board if they want to see Thaddeus Franklin get a real chance with a good blocking offensive line. Because he's the only guy who's been breaking tackles.
You're taking the best offensive linemen and putting them on the bench to play guys that aren't playing. So how is Thad Franklin necessarily going to have anywhere to run? This is complete, utter madness. Beat North Carolina. Crush those guys tomorrow so we don't have to listen to any more of this.
Listen, just because one of the coaches told you Jalen Rivers is their best lineman, he's been grading out not real good. They've all been grading out very, very average to below average as run blockers. So, Jalen Rivers is a below average run blocker right now, according to Pro Football Focus. I mean, you could say whatever you want, Gary. It's not like this guy's blowing blowing everything up and is amazing. If he was, I'd say, of course you can't take him out. There's not a single offensive lineman right now that I'd say
there wasn't.
Leave him in for sure. He's amazing. There's not one.
No, there wasn't one last week. You're right about that.
Well, I don't know why I can't bench anybody. Good thing I'm not the coach. I'd have a lot of unhappy players that were starters.
May God help the Miami Hurricanes tomorrow. I will do my part. I will make sure that Matt Shodell stays in the press box.
I know you call Mario Cristobal God in your free time, okay? But don't do it publicly. That's just nobody wants to hear that.
I promise he will be in the press box. We will not let him anywhere near the sideline tomorrow. I promise everybody.
Me?
You. Yes, you're staying in the press box.
I always stay in the press box. That's where the food is.
All right, we thank you so much for starting your day with us. Sorry if we just made you late for work, although I can't believe you would have listened to all that drivel anyway. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We'll see everybody at the stadium tomorrow. Then we'll have the post-game show after the game and see what the heck happens and move on from there. Have a great day, everybody.